What's going on? What's going on? It's your boy, Storyteller Jet, with another episode of the That's So Fire Talk Show. And today, I have a treat for you. I have Greg Todd here on the show. I mean, this guy has so much energy, and I'm super excited for the conversation that we're going to have today. He's the founder of Smart Success Healthcare, and you're running 7+ businesses that have generated over $1 million. So today, super pumped for this conversation. Todd, such a great pleasure to have you on the show.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. And I love your place. It's amazing.
I appreciate that. Yeah. We're gonna start by doing a quick introduction of yourself so the people watching this, can know a little bit about Greg Todd. And then we'll delve into the journey, the success, the failures, the lessons learned, and also the expertise that you have that you're sharing with the world of impacting over 10,000 people. So let's get it.
All right,
Ready?
cool. Yeah. So I've been a physical therapist for 24 years. And 4 years into being a physical therapist, I decided that this is not going to work for me. I wanted to be a physical therapist because I didn't want to be like my dad. My dad was an owner, operator through a company called Primerica, a financial services company. I saw my dad become the first person in our family to make $100,000 a year.
Wow.
But I also saw him, this is in 1985. 2 years later, I saw my dad lose it all and have to file for bankruptcy. So I always knew that entrepreneurship was unstable, and I saw it lead to a lot of marital problems. So I decided I'm gonna be a physical therapist. Stable job, make your money, go home at 5 o'clock. And I thought that was a life that I wanted. 4 years into doing it, I realized that that stability comes with shackles. So I decided that I wanted to gain more time. I wanted to have more freedom. I didn't understand what type of freedom I wanted at the time, but I knew that what I was doing wasn't it. So fast forward, 2005, I started my first business. And now today we've created about 9 businesses. We've created 7 of them to be able to generate some, serious money and make some really big impact. And today I teach other people how to do some version of what I did. And it's been an awesome journey.
That's awesome. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. Let's rewind a little bit about your dad going through that, and you did not want to pursue a business because of that. How was it like for you to witness your parents struggle and eventually losing all of it?
Yeah. I just saw it give so much good, but I didn't focus on the good. I only focused on the bad. So, I saw in 1985, said he made his first $100,000 a year. And in 1985, that was some serious money, huge. That's $1 million a year now, right? And I saw what that was able to do for our family. And I'll never forget Christmas of 1985, being able to get a Nintendo system and being the one family in our area that was able to have that, because my dad was doing great. And you see the other side of it. You see when, he's building a team, he's building his network, he's doing all these things, and all it took was a couple things to go wrong, and now our house is nearly at foreclosure, right? And filing for bankruptcy and all those things. And I also saw how much pressure that put on my parents' relationship. And so you create stories. You create stories based on what it is that you've seen. And what I did is I created a story from that business is bad. That business breaks up families. Business breaks up marriages. Business is stability is the way to go. And so that's basically what I said to myself. And I, funny enough, I became a physical therapist strictly for this reason. Physical therapy at that time, this is 1995 is when I decided I'm going to be a physical therapist. Why? Because I looked in magazines, and in these magazines, it was the most in-demand job. It was actually, Jed, it was probably one of the top 5 in-demand jobs at that time. And so I looked, physical therapy, pharmacy, occupational therapy, nursing. Okay, I'm going to take one of them. Physical therapy made sense because I could work with sports at physical therapy, and I love sports. Mm-hmm. So I was shooting for stability. I was shooting for everything to money not to be high, money not to be low. I can settle. I have no problem with that. And that would allow me to, maybe one day I'll have a family, but the family won't break up, you know? And so that was just a story I created. Nobody told me that story. That was something I created from what I saw in my past. So, 4 years in, I have this stable job, and I realized that with stability comes stability. It comes no movement, no freedom.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. We want stability, but then we also want movement. No, that's not how it works. Stability means you are stable. That means you're anchored. That means that you can't move. And so now when I'm like, hey, you know what? We're going through some things as a family. I need some time. Maybe I can go to 4 days a week of work. And they were like, no, you're not going to 4 days a week of work. I said, yeah, but I created a clinic from 0 to 27 clients a day. I went past what you all wanted me to do in a year. You wanted me to do 19 patients per day in a year. I did 27.
That is crazy.
Yeah. But you know what? I got the stability, and that means you're not moving.
Yeah.
And so I realized that, wait a minute, my marriage at the time was about to break up, and it was for the total opposite reason of why my parents.
Wow.
So that was it.
Yeah.
And then I realized that, you know what? I got to do something. I got to do something, or I'm going to lose what was important to me at that time.
Absolutely. So what advice would you give to those people that are telling themselves the wrong story?
You have to rewrite your story. You have to rewrite your story. I heard Tony Robbins, say this. He said, it's state, story, strategy. So it's very hard to rewrite your story. It's really, really hard to do. But the way that you write your story is through changing your state, right? And we can talk about that in a second. But you change your state first, then that gives you the opportunity to reshape and retell your story. And the story is how you create meaning to whatever it is that you want. And then from there, when you change your story, you can now create a new strategy. So I think for most people that are able to change their story, they change their state, and their state changes when you are usually in some level of disruption, right? If you're really unhappy with your job, you go to work excited every day. No, you don't go to work excited, right? And a lot of us just fall into that trap. And then one day, you just lose it. You just lose it. So that day that you lose it, you change your state. Your state changed from being comfortably uncomfortable to uncomfortably uncomfortable. And you change your state, and you get angry, or you get, something happens. And then that makes you say, okay, I'm going to create a new story. Now you create a new story, which creates a new meeting. And then when you create a new meeting, through changing your story, then you say, okay, how am I going to get out of this? How am I going to get out of this maze? How am I going to get out of this trap? I think for most people, they never change their story because they never change their state. They never change. They just say, you know what? It is what it is. And they just stay in that level of discomfort for the rest of their lives. For me, everything has changed for me by first changing my state and getting so emotionally charged that I actually want to rewrite my story. I think most people don't do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Can you walk me through that journey when you were working, actually pursuing what you went to school for, like what the passion was for you to go and ask for one day and then got completely declined, and how that has turned into something that has been probably one of the greatest moves that you've ever made?
Yeah. When I was in school, I was listening to the story of what my professors were telling me. Here was what they said. Said, if you want to be a successful physical therapist, here's what you're going to do. You're going to come out of school. First thing you're going to do is you're going to get a job, but you are going to, for the next 5 years, you are going to change jobs every single year. Okay. You're going to start in a hospital. You're going to get experience. You're going to experience different varieties of settings that you can work in as a physical therapist. But the way you're going to make a lot of money is you're going to become very, very, very good. You're going to become very good at what you do. So you're going to do courses. You're going to do continuing education. You're going to do all these things that you need to do to become really good. And when you become really good, you're going to make money and you're going to do well. So I followed it. My first year, a physical therapist, every 2 years, at least in the state of Florida, has to do 24 continuing education units. I did 180 in the first 18 months.
Incredible.
So I nearly did 9 times the amount that you would have to do over the course of 2 years. I did it in 18 months. Nine times that amount, right? Okay. So that's what I did. And I thought I did everything that they were telling me to do. My first year, I got a 1.5% increase in pay. I started at $39,500 a year. I got a 1.5%. I was making just over $40,000. Now, in my mind, I had a plan coming out of school. My plan was if I can get a 4% increase every single year for 10 years, that would get me to $50,000 a year. $50,000 a year after 10 years would get me to the point where I could buy my first house. So my plan was by the age of 33, I would be a first-time homeowner, which is the American dream, right?
Yeah,
okay.
Absolutely.
So that was my plan. Once I realized after year 1, and I'm at 1.5% increase, I realized that my whole plan was blown out the window. So I went to my boss and I started asking questions. By the way, that's the way you change the story. You ask questions. So I went to my boss and said, wait, I did everything that you wanted me to do. I was seeing 3.1 patients every single hour on average. How did I not get the 4% raise? She goes, the way it works is that you don't get raises based off of how many patients you see. You're working at the lowest level of value. And even at that time, she didn't say lowest level of value, but it's something I learned from a guy named Myron Golden. That
I love Myron Golden, by the way.
He's fantastic.
He's awesome.
Great guy. He's a mentor of mine. He's coached me through a lot of things. He even helped me with my money mindset blocks.
Yeah. I've been going to his events every Thursday and Mondays.
Oh,
and
at his office?
At his office. It's been fantastic.
He's a good dude, and he's helped a lot of people, including myself. But it's funny how the things that he's talking about, most of us, as we're hearing, we're like, oh yeah, that makes sense because I went through this, I went through that. And so these things I had gone through, but he just put a framework around it. Mm-hmm. And at that time, what my boss meant to tell me, in Myron's words, is you were operating at the lowest level of value. You were an implementer. You were doing the thing. And if you wanted to make more money, you had to now be the person that oversees people that do the thing.
Yeah.
And that's what she told me. And 2 months later, I quit that job and I left to move here to Tampa Bay.
Yeah. So now you had the job that you wanted to pursue, and then one day you decided to quit. So can you walk with me on that transition? Did you already have something lined up, or did you basically quit that job and decided to pursue new things at the time?
Yeah. I mean, I quit that job in South Florida. I went to a management job. I made 40% more than I was making at my staff physical therapy job. And I realized I had a cap there as well. Mm-hmm. There was a very distinct cap. Yes, I was now overseeing people and being a physical therapist, a licensed physical therapist, but there was still a distinct cap. And what I ended up doing is I made a lateral move. I made a little bit more, maybe about $5,000, $8,000 more a year at another management job in an area called Wesley Chapel, Florida. And then I stayed there for a year and a half and realized I was capped out there as well. What my boss said to me after was what changed the course of my life. And he said, listen, if you want to make more money in this industry, you're going to have to go up the corporate ladder. That's it. You have to go up the corporate ladder. You're not going to make any more money becoming better at what you do. And that's when I realized that my life wasn't going to get better if I got better doing that thing.
Yeah.
And that made me start to question, okay, what do I need to do here? I need to go on a different avenue. And so as I did my research and realized that I was capped out, I said, all right, I'm going to have to go out on my own. My life, if I'm going to get better and my life doesn't get better, there's no reason for me to get better. Mm-hmm. And that's where I think 90 to 95% of people live. If they get better, their life doesn't get better. So why get better?
Yeah.
The goal for those people is how do I do as little as possible and get what I'm getting right now? That's the goal. For me, I want to know how do I create as much output as possible, as much value as possible, so that my life can get better in whatever way, whether it's monetarily, it's impact, it's influence, it's time. And that's what I pursued. And that's what got me into business. So yeah. I wasn't this entrepreneur guy from the age of 12, 13, even though there was things that I guess I was entrepreneurial inclined. I didn't know at the time, but I only did that because I changed my state.
Yeah.
I got really upset with my situation that I was working so hard and things were hardly working.
Yeah. And
it made me change my story, and then I changed my strategy, and that's how I got into entrepreneurship.
Fantastic. How did you make that transition from working in the corporate world to entrepreneurship? what things that you had lined up to, make that transition easier?
Yeah, I mean, the things that I had lined up really didn't help me. I thought at the time that I was a very good clinician, a very good physical therapist. I was working with top tennis players in the world. At the time that I left my job to go out on my own, here is what my resume was. I'd worked with the number 1, number 4, number 9, number 17, number 27 players in the world, men and or women, okay? That's who I was working with. Top 100 in the world, 5 more people. Top 1,000 in the world, about 35 people.
Wow.
So in my mind, I'm like, well, if I'm working with the best, I should be okay when I start a business. That was what I call clinical arrogance. That nearly made me go out of business. Also, I had doctors that were sending me patients to the place that I worked at when I was working for someone. And I took them at their word. Hey, I'm going to be gone for a year. I have a non-compete. I'll be back in a year. Will you send me patients when I come back? They said, yeah, sure. Of course we will. We'll see you in a year. Mm-hmm. And then I came back a year later, put down a lot of money to open up a clinic. And when it was time for them to send me patients, they didn't. And so that's what gave me the confidence to go and open up my own thing. I quickly realized this. I realized that you could be the best at what it is that you do, or you think you're the best at what you do, and that does not equate to business, success. Okay, being the most well-known and being able to very clearly convey that to people that you are not only well-known, but that you can help them, that gives you a higher probability, not being the best.
Absolutely. So you had a non-compete that lasted for a year. What were you doing during that year gap?
Yeah, so during that time, the company that I was working for prior was called Core Rehabilitation. They knew that I wanted to open up my own clinic. They let me out of my non-compete and said, hey, if you will stay with us, you'll work at different locations. We want to keep your clinical skills. And we want you to work, at all of our different locations. We'll give you the same salary that you had as a manager and just work at whatever clinic we tell you to work at within a 35-mile radius of your house. I said, sure, I'll do it. So I started doing that for them. And once I started that, they let me out of my non-compete. When I decided I was going to go start my own business, a physician that I was getting referrals from introduced me to an accountant, and his name was Peter Lackman. Peter Lackman then introduced me to a physical therapist that was one of his clients, and his name was Mike Anastasis. He owned a company called Renewal Rehabilitation. So I met Mike one day, and through Mike giving me some tips on how to start a business and what he's doing, he was a solo practitioner guy that had his own clinic. Mike and I ended up becoming business partners, and we're still business partners till this day.
Oh, fantastic.
That's what happened during that year gap. Mm-hmm. So during that year gap, I ended up stopping working for Cora. I ended up working for Mike full-time. We were able to build his clinic that he had at the time. I think he was seeing probably about 10 to 11 patients a day. We got that clinic to close to 30 patients a day over that year time. And once my non-compete was up, then we opened up our second location in Wesley Chapel.
Oh, fantastic. So the first year you're jumping in the business, you have a partners. Mm-hmm. Can you talk a little bit about partnership? Mm-hmm. What are some of the mistakes that people make when they are thinking about jumping in a partnership with somebody?
Yeah, I think the biggest mistake people make with partnership is they get into a partnership because they're scared to go all in by themselves. And so they feel like if we can jump together, it'll be easier. And they forget to understand that you have to jump with a person that's willing to jump as high and as far as you're willing to jump. If they're willing to jump higher and further, and you're not willing to go there with them, the partnership is probably going to break, right? Just think about it. If me and you were on a cliff, okay? Let's just say we had a harness on, okay? But we're on a cliff and we know we're going to be okay, all right? If you jump out really far and really high, and I decide that I'm not going to do that, and we don't decide that together, and we're holding hands, what's going to happen?
Yeah,
it's going to break.
Absolutely.
Right?
And making it even harder for the person that may be jumping because he might be like hanging still on you.
Right.
Yeah, definitely.
It's not going to be good.
Yeah, it's not going to be
good. And you're
good.
going to resent me because I'm not jumping as far and as high as you. You're going to be like, oh my gosh, you dislocated my arm, or you're pulling me, right? And then I'm going to be upset at you because you're stretching me way too much, right? So that's partnership. I think most people get into partnerships for the wrong reasons. Just like most people get into marriage for the wrong reasons, right? It's like, hey, I just want to be with somebody. I just don't want to be by myself. Instead of saying, no, together, because of what you have and what I have, and we're aligned, we can go a lot further together. But we want the same thing, and we're willing to do whatever it takes. Well, wait. What is whatever it takes? Well, we need to talk about that. Would you be willing to do this? Would you be willing to do that? Do you understand that a year from now, 2 years from now, 5 years from now, we're going to be different people? Are we willing to match each other? Are we willing to push? Like maybe I'm pushing hard, you're not pushing as hard. Are you willing to be okay with me like calling you out? Like, hey, listen, you're not pushing as hard right now. I need you to push with me, right? So it's, and every single year you have to learn to, it's like marriage. Every single year you have to learn to love and respect the new version of that person. And you have to meet them and match them. If not, it's going to break.
Yeah.
It's going to break.
If you had to put it in a couple sentences of the ingredients that make a partnership work, what would you say?
Alignment. I don't even need to say a sentence. I'll just say the word alignment. Alignment is it. That's it. If you're not in alignment, it's not going to work. If you're in alignment, and we can go on this a little bit more, you got to be in alignment with the vision. You have to be in alignment with the output that is necessary and required. So most people don't struggle with being in alignment with the vision. So what do we want? We're business partners. What do we want? Man, we want to grow this thing to as big as possible. Okay, great. All right, well, what's as big as possible? Oh my gosh, I want to grow this studio to $10 million a year. Okay, great. Do you understand the output that it's going to take to get to $10 million a year? Do you understand how many people you're going to have to talk to? Are we as partners willing to talk to that amount of people, knowing that of every 10 people we talk to, one is going to use this place?
Yep.
Right? Okay, so that means if we want to get to 1,000 people that are coming through this place, do you realize that we're gonna have to talk to 10,000 people in order to make that happen? Oh, I'm not willing to do that. You know, I need to have my Saturdays for football. I need to have my Sundays to be able to do this. I need to have Mondays is bingo night. Okay, right? So if we're not in alignment with not only the vision, but with the requirements that it's going to take in order for us to get there, it's gonna break. It's gonna break, right? Are we in alignment with how we treat people?
Yeah.
Okay. You know, I'm a big guy on goodwill.
Yeah.
So I understand that, like, I just have to do a lot of good stuff. And I know that most of it I'm not going to get a return on. It's fine. Like, I believe in the principles of sowing and reaping, right?
Absolutely.
I understand that I got to sow a lot, but I'm going to sow in the beginning and nothing's going to happen, right? But I understand that there's a sowing season, there's a waiting season, there is a harvest season where I'm going to reap, right? So are you in alignment with how this is going to work? So these are things that most of us don't deal with and we don't talk about. And then it's going to come to a head at some point. So.
Yeah. A friend of mine once said to me that the only ship that doesn't sail is a partnership. Ooh. And I feel like a lot of people, they are struggling in a partnership because like one of them is growing and then the other one is like staying stuck and not growing.
Right.
And to what you just described right now, it's probably like the biggest culprit, you know, for those partnerships to never sail. Right. So for somebody right now that is dealing with that at this moment, that is in a partnership where one partner is growing and the other one is stagnant, what advice would you give them?
This is what I would tell that person. Can't remember who said it, but I didn't say it. It wasn't my quote. It said, freedom lies on the other side of a very difficult conversation. Extreme freedom lies on the other side of a very, 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 very difficult conversation. You probably need to have a conversation. That's what you need to do right now. You need to have a conversation with that person. And that conversation can be, it needs to be matched with making them feel safe, making them feel comfortable in the environment that you're gonna have the conversation in. You need to let them know what they have done great on why we're even having this conversation. You need to let them know what the expectations are for this conversation. And then you need to tell them the truth of whatever that is. You need to just say it clear and don't waddle and don't be all over the place with with what you're saying. Mean what you say and say what you mean. And then you finish it up with, look, I just want the best for both of us, but you need to have a really tough conversation. That's the only way you're going to get, through to it. And then after you have that conversation, there has to be true follow-up to, like, are we doing the things that we said we were going to do post-conversation?
Absolutely.
And if you don't do that, it's just going to be a mess. And I know that firsthand.
Yeah, for sure. So over your business career, you've created over 9 businesses, and 7 of them have reached, 7 figures.
Yeah.
What was your first failure?
My first failure? Jeez. Okay, here. Okay, I'll say this. So my first business that I created, I took out a $180,000 loan on my house because I didn't have any money, right? But I did have access to resources, and I had a home. So I bought a home at the age of 24, 25. I bought the home for $180,000. This is in 2003, May 9th, 2003. That's when I closed on a home, okay? Let's fast forward to 2005. So we're 2 years in. If you remember, at that time, houses are going up, right?
Yeah.
The bubble didn't hit yet. So my house, I bought for $180,000. In 2005, when I'm like, okay, I'm gonna start a business, and I didn't have the money, I was able to take a line of credit on my home of $180,000. Because the home at that time was valued at $360,000 by the end of 2005. So I took out the full $180,000 line of credit. This is the first thing that I did with business, okay? First thing. Of the $180,000, I put 20K into a Forex currency trading opportunity that was from my uncle telling me about it. My entire family went into it. Found out 3 months later it was a Ponzi scheme.
Wow.
So I lost $20,000 there, okay? So the first thing I did was a failure. All right, second thing I did, I took about 50,000 of that, and I got my first ever investment property. Now, I couldn't afford it by myself, but my dad went in with me. Okay, so we got an investment property in Valrico, Florida. It's a brand new townhouse, 301 Castlekeeper Place, Valrico, Florida. Bought that townhouse, bought it at 180-something thousand. I bought it at the peak of the market. It flopped. I was able to keep it for about 2 years. Tried to rent it, was negative on the rent. It was a mess. My dad came to me, had a difficult conversation, said, son, I can't afford this anymore. So I had to hold on to it, or I chose to hold on to it for another year-ish. And then I realized that this is gonna take me out. So I ended up short selling it, destroyed my credit. Second failure. Third one was renewal rehabilitation. So renewal rehabilitation was the one thing that I did invest in. It was about $100,000 that I put into that. That company has made us over $35 million year, like career to date, right? And that's where I've made the majority of my money on the first half of my entrepreneurial career. And then there's been a lot of mistakes with renewal rehab. One of the things that nobody taught me is, when do you get out? Okay, like, it's kind of like a football player or a professional athlete. Okay, father time is going to come, and there's going to get to a point where, like, the great times are over, right? And you just think that, no, it'll just keep on going. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. I didn't understand that if your energy isn't in it, you are relying on other people's energy to drive it. And if a huge driver of the business was your energy, you are now playing with fire if you're letting somebody else's energy drive it. And so, I learned some lessons from that. Probably should have gotten out, earlier. I still am not out, but yeah, those are the first two. And I've made tons. I mean, we can spend 6 hours talking about all the mistakes. I've done some good stuff too, but yeah.
We'll talk about the good stuff and the bad stuff. The show is mostly about, like, how other people can learn from the journey, from the mistakes that you've learned, and the lessons that you've learned as well.
I think one of the big things is, look, I went into, here, let's take some lessons from this. I did 3 businesses, okay? When I started in 2005, okay? And I didn't have the money. I don't think you're gonna earn your way to being able to start to build a life of freedom. Okay, it's just not going to happen. Most of us don't make enough money for us to be able to stack and store money. You're going to have to leverage something. So if that's other people's money, if that's other people's credit, if that's other people's resources, that's what you're going to have to do. That's what I did. Okay. Now I know for some people, maybe they have a rich daddy or a rich mommy or a rich uncle, or they're going to inherit. That's not my story. So for me, if I believe in something and I want something really bad, I got to figure out how to leverage. I did that. Without that, I don't make the 30+ million through that business. And then that doesn't lead to all the other business opportunities. So I think that's the first thing that you have to understand. You got to look at your situation. And, I'm not saying to over leverage yourself on stupid things, but if it's an asset, if you want to bet on yourself, do it, right? Use the leverage. We live in America. Like that's what you do. So I think that's the first thing. The second thing I'd say is treat business in the same way that baseball players treat their profession.
And what is that?
A baseball player, if they hit 1 out of every 3 times they get up to bat, they're in the Hall of Fame. That's what happened to me. I did 3 things. I struck out twice. I hit 1. I hit a home run. That home run changed my life. It changed my family's life. It probably is going to change at least 1 more generation's lives with what we've been able to do, right? But I just hit 1. I struck out. I whiffed so bad on the other 2, but I hit 1. And so people have to understand that all it takes is 1 big hit, So you don't need to hit every single one good, right? And what I've also realized is that for the 2 that I didn't hit, it set me up later on. I learned lessons from those 2 that I didn't hit to where now I'm hitting well in those same areas that I failed at first, right? Like today, I am an investor, okay? But I'm not, like, I learned from that mistake. You got to do your due diligence here. 100%. You got to do this. So I'm investing today. But had I not learned from that, I probably would have made some other silly investments. So I actually have made all my money back from that with just the wisdom that God has given me through those situations. The real estate, okay? That was a $180,000 property that I whiffed on and I struck out. Today I have $5 million in real estate.
Fantastic.
Okay, so you know what? I learned from it, right? I've still made some mistakes, here and there, but I learned a lot from that. This is what you got to do. You got to do your research. You got to know the market. You have to understand this. You have to understand that. So, it's just being willing to learn from the mistakes. You either win or you learn.
Yeah, absolutely. Very this is a mic drop moment right here. Mm-hmm. For anybody, like any entrepreneurs, like they started their business, but they are stuck because they have a tremendous fear of failure. Mm-hmm. What advice would you give them?
Don't become an entrepreneur. Don't become an entrepreneur. Like if you're afraid, but by the way, being afraid is one thing. Okay. All right. Being afraid and being paralyzed from your fear is another. There's times I get nervous, all right? But if you let that paralyze you, then don't do this.
Yeah.
There's so many other opportunities out there for you, right? Being an entrepreneur is understanding that you're operating a business, and you have to do so at a very high financial risk. So if you're doing that and you're doing that in constant fear, and it's paralyzing you, do not be an entrepreneur. That's not for you. Here's something that might be for you, though, an entrepreneur. Mm-hmm. An entrepreneur is someone who takes ownership, operates a business. You don't do so at the high financial risk. Entrepreneurship is so hard. It is so difficult. And it has the ability to crush you. It has crushed me health-wise. It has crushed me emotionally. It has crushed me mentally. And most people can't handle it. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Just don't do it. Don't waste your money. Don't waste your time. Okay. Now, also, there's some beautiful things about being an entrepreneur, right? You can make more money in an hour than I can make more money as an employee in a year. It's crazy, but not everybody should do it. I think everybody has, and maybe I'm totally, gullible for this, right? I believe everybody has the capability of doing nearly anything they put their mind and energy to. I don't believe everybody can have everything. But I believe that if you put all your energy and focus, you can do most things. Okay, and if you want to be an entrepreneur, you want to learn that, great. But if you're in so much fear and it paralyzes you, don't do it.
Yeah.
That's the answer.
So how do you deal with like the crushing part of being an entrepreneur?
Yeah. I think for me, I understand that my identity is not just being an entrepreneur. See, I think a lot of times people, when they get crushed in business, which the only way you're going to get crushed is if you push hard. If you push hard, you are going to fall. Sometimes it's going to hurt, and sometimes you're going to soar, right? But I think for me, I think the one thing that I've done pretty well is not to have my entire identity into being an entrepreneur. Okay, you started the podcast, the interview, saying he's an entrepreneur, he's done this in business, whatnot. Okay, and that's wonderful and that's great, and I understand we have to do that for the podcast. But if entrepreneurship goes away tomorrow, I'm more than that.
Yeah,
I'm more than that. I'm a father, I'm a husband, I am a friend, I'm a son, I'm a brother, and most importantly, I'm a child of God. So, and even if all those things go away, if I'm no longer a husband, I'm no longer a dad, I'm a child of God. So I know whose I am, and entrepreneurship does not define me. It doesn't define me. Now, what does define me is that I am a child of God. That's number one. Number two, God has commanded me to serve his other children, okay? And if I can just do that and do that in my assignment and give him acknowledgement of he's given me all the opportunities and the resources and he's allowed me to steward over this and I don't own any of this, you are good. You are good. You can go as hard as you want to go, knowing that I'm not doing this for any other reason than to just fulfill out my assignment. And when you have that mentality, you're okay. If you don't,
that was I told you earlier that you had a mic drop. Yeah. I'm going to take that mic drop away. Okay. And this is the mic drop. That was fantastic. Yeah. And no, I'm so happy to hear that. Obviously, everything that you are doing, you have God at the center of it. Like, I had a beautiful conversation with my great friends, Joseph, last week. And that was what we talked for about 2 hours. Like all the stuff that you see here in the studio, 100% is God. Yeah. Like from my background, from Haiti to moving here, like the people that God has placed, and the opportunity that He has given me over there here to lead to here, it's all been Him, and I give Him like total glory, for all of that. The money that I have too is not mine. Is like. And one of my biggest goal and dream is to eventually one day to be able to donate $1 million as a result of what we've earned here in the studio. And like sometimes I'm, trying to hold, everything that I have and don't want to share that. But like, I truly believe in the opportunity of like giving and without expecting anything in return. Right. And also using that as a gift. I know God is going to take care of me in the future. So like I want to live that way and utilizing what I've been given to do all of that.
Yeah,
so
and that's a beautiful
I'm so glad
thing.
That you
That's a beautiful
share
thing.
That.
You mind if I even share something with you, some advice I would say with you?
Absolutely.
I would say just add a 0 to that.
Let's go.
Okay? If you want to give back $1 million, do 10. And here's the only reason why I'm saying that. Because for me, I told you in the first 10 years of my career, the goal was for me to go from 39,000 to 50,000. And what I've realized today is that being able to have 10, 15, 20 times that amount doesn't take any more extra work. And so I would say, why not just do 10 million? It's not going to be any more work. It's just going to be different thinking.
Yeah.
That's it. And so, so why not? I mean, can 10 million help out, your people more than one? Yeah. Would you be happier if you help more people than
100%,
less? 100%. Yeah. So since we know it's not going to really be any more work for you, it's just going to be a different level of thinking, go for the 10.
Let's go. There you have it.
Go for the 10.
Yeah.
Just go for it. Go for it. Go for it. So,
absolutely. Yeah. Thank you for that advice. And now it's not $1 million anymore. It's 10 million. Let's go.
10 million. Yeah.
Let's go.
Let's do it, man. Let's do it.
So earlier you talked a little bit about failures. Obviously that has affected health and, business and family. Can you talk to me a little bit about some of the biggest regrets that you've had that over time, like as you were launching the business that you were pushing forward, that kind of affected you? Like today's?
I think I'll tell you one of my biggest regrets as a therapist, having that therapy business, is I felt as though the business would fail if I wasn't at the center of it at all times. Center of treating all the patients, center of being there at the clinic. It's one of my biggest regrets, because what ended up happening was that I tried to pack up my schedule with as many people as possible. I tried to do everything I possibly could for all the people. And through that, I created very little to no boundaries. And it didn't show up right away. It was miss a lunch here, miss another lunch here, don't drink your water. Let people call you at 9 p.m., 10 p.m., 11 p.m., midnight. Hey, can I come in at 6 a.m.? I have a meeting and I can't be there at 9. Will you come in early? And you don't create any boundaries. And then what ends up happening is your body crashes. And so I didn't create enough boundaries in the beginning. And I think that caught up to me, and it nearly led to the end. For me, money has never really nearly taken me out, because I live in America. In America, it's the land of the borrow. Just borrow money, right? That's never been an issue, okay? But health has nearly taken me out. And health comes from lack of boundaries, not prioritizing certain things to do for your body. And I don't think I did that extremely well in the early days. So that's a huge regret for me.
Yeah.
Because I nearly, and there's even things that I'm still struggling with today, health-wise, that happened many, many, many years ago. And those things just don't go away.
Yeah.
Right. And so I think that's a big regret.
Yeah. From the lack of boundaries that you've had in pushing so hard, how did that affect your family? And what advice would you give on the back end of that to any parents that are entrepreneurs and running a business, and how to solve that?
Yeah, I think when you don't have those boundaries, you only have a certain amount. Here, there's two things that you don't have a lot of, or you have a finite amount of, and that is time, and that's energy. Okay, I mean, I can raise up my level of energy, but I still only have a certain amount of energy. I am right now. I'm just flesh here, right? Flesh and cells. Flesh, cells, water, okay? That's all I got here, okay? Time, I got 24 hours, the way that we track time in a day. So it's very finite, okay? So you have to be very, very careful of how you are managing your energy. Okay, so now I take that extra appointment in the morning. Instead of going in at 8, I go in at 7 or 6. I take that extra appointment at night. Instead of finishing the clinic at 7, I finish at 8 or 9. Okay, then I've got to do my notes. I'm not getting home till 10 o'clock. Well, because I have now devoted more energy to that because of my lack of boundaries, do I have the energy when it's time to go home? When I go home, guess what? The kids are sleeping. They got school in the morning. When I go home, I'm utterly exhausted. My spouse doesn't have any time, or I don't have any time for her, right? So all these things eventually catch up to you, right? Because we only have a certain amount of energy and we only have a certain amount of time. And so you just like, it's hard. It's hard to balance all of these things, but it will catch up to you if you're not intentional with it. So what do I do today? Today, like I've had to figure out, how do I say the things that are a priority? How do I make it a priority before the rest of things start to attack, right? So if the kids are a priority, then this is what I have to do. I'm doing this podcast today, but I told you I have to be back because my son has a soccer game tonight.
Absolutely.
Okay? Like, it's a 2-hour drive back. I've got to be on the road by 3, 4 o'clock. Okay. And if it's a date day, it's like, hey, all bets are off on this particular day. I'm going to take out my spouse, or if it's, I have a friend in town and I want to spend time with that friend. It's like, we have to put these things on the schedule and be intentional about it. So those are the ways that you kind of manage through it, but you live and learn.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you already touched on that, but if you had to give an entrepreneur that is lacking that boundary, what advice would you give them? What is the number one thing that they can do to get back their time and spending, I guess, time with their priorities? Yeah,
this is the big thing that I would tell them, and this is so important. Time doesn't really mean anything anymore for work. It doesn't mean anything. Okay, we've been trained on this 8-hour theory, this 8-hour day theory. Doesn't mean anything anymore. Okay, that meant something in 1981. It did. And it meant something in 1992 as well. All right, but in 2025, it means nothing. Okay, so what people used to do in an 8-hour day, which unfortunately is how people are still judged on this 8-hour day, you can do in about 5 minutes. Okay, so time means nothing anymore. Everything is about output. That's it. It's output. How much do I need to do in order to get the result that I'm looking for? And if you can understand that, that is the most important thing, is output. What is the output that is required? That at least I think is required, right? And if you're like, I don't know, well, get someone that knows, okay? There are people out there that have already done the thing that you want to do. So if you can find that out, then say, okay, how much time currently with my current level of skill, my resources, my thinking, how much time is it going to take me with what I currently possess to get that output? Once we understand that, great. Step number 3, I want to do this in less time. Who knows how to do this in less time? Step number 4, go to that person and find out what do they know that I don't know to do this in less time. And if you can do that and you focus on output instead of time, you're good to go. Do not take your employee habits and mindset into entrepreneurship. You're doomed for failure.
Boom. Mic drop. Let's go, baby. That's so fire. So now let's transition to talk a little bit about Smart Success Healthcare.
Yep.
I'm going to say that one more time. Let's transition to talk a little bit about Smart Success Healthcare and how you're helping them create digital products.
Yeah.
So how did you start with that business? I guess let's start there.
Yeah. Okay. So the business actually started as Smart Success for Physical Therapists. It was a business that was inspired by my employees at my clinic. They were telling me as they were in physical therapy school, they were doing these what we call flex programs, which means that they were able to work full time and go to school on the weekends. And they were telling me that a lot of their classmates and their colleagues were struggling with the decision of them becoming physical therapists. And they were asking me if I could help them because they're like, hey, I work for this guy. He's doing really well. We love to work for him. He's, had a lot of success. And more importantly, he makes more money consulting than he makes at the clinics. This is back in 2014. Okay, 2014, 15. So in 2014, 15, I was a consultant for 15 companies. And I was making over 6 figures a year consulting. And I had surpassed at least my base salary at my clinics, right? And so when they said, Greg, can you teach them? I was like, yeah, sure. Have them come on in, come to the clinic. I'm here 2 days a week. You can come on to the clinic and you can just watch me do my thing. And I'll answer any questions that they want the 2 days I'm here. They said, Greg, they can't do that because a lot of people, they live in Chicago or they live in Dallas or they live here. They just fly in for the weekend. So I was like, so what do you want me to do? They're like, why don't you do a video on YouTube? So that's what I did. And so that ended up turning into Smart Success PT 1 year later. And Smart Success PT, here was the whole premise behind it. I was trying to teach people my consulting skills that I learned outside of being a physical therapist that allowed me to make over 6 figures a year as a consultant. My premise for this was to teach them how to be more valuable employees.
Interesting.
Not to do business,
Yep.
okay? So that's how Smart Success PT started, Smart Success for Physical Therapists. A year after it started, I ended up doing my first ever live event. That live event was strictly a childhood wish that I had because I did not go to prom and I did not go to any homecomings. I didn't have the money, nor did I have the relationship bandwidth and cachet, right? So I wanted to do an event where I'm like, these internet friends, let's do an event. I've got money now. Let me treat them to a nice thing at the Wyndham Grand in Clearwater Beach, okay? So that's what happened there. That's how it started. What ended up happening was that those young therapists or to-be therapists started to learn the things that I was teaching them to become a consultant and to be able to be more valuable to their employer. And for many of them, their employers started getting threatened. They started to feel threatened. And they're like, you're learning all these things, you're too powerful. And many of them started being in positions where the employer initially was enamored by this, but now they're like, you can't work for me. You think too big. And so many of them went on to start their own business. So Smart Success Physical Therapy started with me trying to help people improve their skill set so they can, what I call skill stack, and they can have higher level skills so they can make more money. It ended up turning into them saying, hey, I'm going to take these skills and I'm going to go use these skills to go start a business. And I did Smart Success for Physical Therapists from 2016 or 2015 to 2020. In 2020, it changed to Smart Success Healthcare. It's because by 2019, I had helped 14 other healthcare providers outside of physical therapy with the same principles that I was teaching physical therapists.
Yeah.
So we changed the branding in 2019 going into 2020. And since then, over the last 5 years, we now have had over 5,500 customers. We have probably had people collectively make, we believe the number is close to 250 million in sales and opportunities from starting businesses and growing businesses. And Smart Success PT, now Smart Success Healthcare, has done over $18 million over that time.
Fantastic. I just love your story from completely going against the grain that you wanted to do the job because of that, and how your journey has evolved to where you are at today. So my next question for you is, how do you help healthcare providers create digital products?
Yeah. So, I think at the end of the day, I believe that my life has changed because of assets. Moving away from only focusing on building my earned income skills, but also having assets that will make me money when I don't physically want to work or I physically am no longer to work. I'm no longer able to work. So the big thing is helping them create assets. I believe digital products is the easiest asset that you can create, something that will work for you when you aren't physically in front of someone. I think that's the easiest way. We've spent a lot of money as healthcare providers to gain knowledge and expertise, and I believe that they should be able to monetize that.
Yeah.
And so digital products is a great way of them being able to monetize what it is that they know. Once we can say, hey, what you know can be turned into a system, and getting it out to people, and being able to have those people get value from it, and in return pay them money. And so the goal is for them to be able to create a digital product, whether that's a course, that's a membership, that's a workshop, that is, whatever digital product makes sense for their audience, that their audience wants to consume, make money from that digital product, because that digital product works, and I call it's a 168 vehicle, which works 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I know that the majority of people buy their products online when we stop working as clinicians. So they buy their products from 7 p.m. to 6 p.m. in the morning. And we work from 7 or 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. So all I want to do is just have it to where people can get value from me all hours of the day. And they can make money in their sleep. And so anyways, I feel like digital products is the easiest, most affordable, easiest entry path for the majority of people. And so that's why I focus so much on the digital product aspect. What type of digital product? It just depends on what your audience wants to consume. Written, audio, video, and then we just figure out, which one that is for your audience. We focus on the audience first. I try to teach my clients, obsess over your audience more than you're obsessing over your product. And if you can do that, you're probably going to win.
Yeah.
You have a much higher probability of winning.
Yeah. Can we unpack a little bit about their offers that you help them create? What is 0 to 1 in helping them creating their offers?
Yeah. So in every offer, we have to know the pain points of the audience. We have to know, here, I'll give you my 5 Ps. You have to, first of all, figure out which audience actually cares about whatever the problem is that they have going on. So I call that passion. And then we have to figure out what is a problem that's actually not just a problem that's, it's kind of a problem, but it's keeping them up at night, okay? And then what things are your audience actually paying for? What problems are they paying to have solved, right? Okay, if my jeans are a little bit too tight, but I can still fit them, it's a problem, but it's not that big of a deal. If I cannot fit in my jeans, that's a problem that I will pay for, because if I need jeans to come to this interview, like, okay, now this is a big problem. So we got to figure that out. So it's passion first. Find out what a problem is that is keeping them up at night. Find out what type of problem they're actually paying for. And then once we've done those first three, then we figure out, okay, how can I be present to them? How can I be a presence in this marketplace? And so we find out, what's going to be our angle into the marketplace. And then you got to know where your people are at. What's the pathway? So it's passion, problem, profit, presence, and then the pathway. Are they on Instagram? Are they on YouTube? Are they on TikTok? Are they on, whatever platform, Facebook? Are they not even online? We find out those things, and that's kind of the framework that I use to identify, do you even have an audience that will pay you money?
Yeah, absolutely. So in that field, mostly a lot of people focus on sell one-to-one. And I think for you focus a lot on selling one-to-many.
Right.
Can you unpack that for me a little bit? And how do you help them create that platform to be able to sell one-to-many? Yeah,
it's interesting. I always think about this on a Friday, right? It's a Friday today as we're recording this. And I for some reason, I just remember this Friday. It was in August of 2009. And I can remember, I think I saw that day 18 clients that day, okay? I was exhausted. And I remember the first client was this lady named Jennifer. She was a dietitian, and she asked if she can come in at 6 instead of 7. And I remember when she came in, I gave her, she was struggling. She was struggling with some lower back and hip problems. And I just remember speaking life into her, like, come on, you can get through this. And I did that. And she was really happy after that hour, and then she left. And I didn't have anybody at 7 because she had the appointment time at 7, but I had somebody at 8, and I had 3 people at 9. And every single one of those people, as they were coming in throughout the day, I was giving them my energy, and they were all inspired and pushing, and then they left. And by the end of that day, on that Friday, finishing out the week, I just remember being so depleted, because I was seeing people one-to-one, right? And so I'll never forget that day. And I realized that today, like right now I'm doing this. And I'm hoping that in the something I said probably made you that's listening right now feel like Jennifer did. But once I finish this, I'm done.
Yeah.
And this might be a year from now that you're listening to this. You're listening to a year from now. And I'm still helping you in the way that I helped Jennifer. So I just believe in do the work once, give the gift once, and then give your vehicle that you create an opportunity for it to help multiple people at the same time. And I also believe that people need to help people. And I don't believe that everything should be centered around me. And so that's the reason why I believe that I can do this in this way, and I can do it in a group setting. And now it's not just me helping you. Now, because I put it in a group setting, it's you helping him and her and this one and that one. Like, we all have gifts, we all have skills. And I believe that group is the way to go, because it just allows value to be viral. It creates viral value.
Yeah. And you touch on that really well too, because you can create something today, but 6 months down the road, a year down the road, that same asset that you create can be impacting so many more people.
Right.
It's not time bound. You can do it in so many group settings, or even multiple people, instead of just giving a piece of yourself every single time.
And people inherently know that. They know it. I'll give you a perfect example. I bought this place in Georgia. Okay, I bought this place in Georgia in 2022. December 30th, 2022 is when I closed on it. Okay, my wife and I built it. Started building it from middle of the year in 2022. Okay, when I tell people how much I paid for the place, and I tell them that in the first year I had 5 rentals for the place, nobody bats an eye. Okay, I paid over $630,000 for the place, paid $70,000 to furnish the place. And in the first year, I made probably about $1,500 net. Nobody bats an eye. Because what do people say? Oh, oh, well, of course, the place eventually is going to help so many people, and so many people are going to get beautiful vacations there. Greg, the place is beautiful, this, that. And guess what? They're right. Like, the place now is at 85% occupancy with booking, okay? It's great, right? So we know that. We know that if we can invest into something today, whether it's a book, it's a course, right? We know that it has the ability to help people later on. So why is it okay for us to do that for very expensive things like real estate, but it's weird when we do it for digital products? You want to know why? Because real estate, you already know that 99.999% of people can't do that.
Yeah.
But 99.9999999% of people can't do digital. So they want you to think it's hard for digital when it's actually easier to do digital, but the world wants you to think that's not going to work for you by doing digital. So everything that is hard, the world deems as, yes, that's acceptable. Everything that is very doable, the world deems as, no, that's not going to work. Why? Because we don't want to, most people don't want to empower others. That's really it. Digital is the way to go. That's it. It's the way everybody should start. If I could have done it digital in 2005, that's what I would have done. Digital was not I didn't understand it. It was an alternative back then. So I did it. So what I did is I took out $180,000 and nearly lost it all. It still worked out for me, but if I was doing over it again, I'd start digital first, use digital, make sure there is proof of concept, make money, have profit, then use that profit to be able to go into turning it into hybrid, which means that you can do stuff in person, but you're also adding digital, and digital is the buffer.
Yeah. What are some of the digital products that you help those healthcare providers create?
Yeah, so most of them it's memberships. It's memberships, and memberships gives you the ability to have all the other digital products into it. So if I can have somebody that's paying me month over month over month because I'm giving them value month over month over month, that's probably the best way to stabilize out your situation as fast as possible. Inside the memberships, there's 3 ways that people consume information. They consume it via written, that's books or digital books. They consume it via audio, something like what we're doing right now, and they consume it via video, right? And so those are really the 3 ways. It's not complicated. It's how do you deliver that, and that's based on your audience. It's based off of how much they're willing to invest of their time in whatever they're consuming. That has changed. You just have to know your audience. Absolutely. And so you give them some variation of that on what works for them, and that's where you start.
Awesome. What are some of the misconceptions that healthcare providers have as it relates to building and creating digital products?
Yeah, I think one of the big things, probably the biggest one, and this is even one that I struggled with initially, is that you have to create it first before you sell it. It's like the worst thing you could do today, okay? What you have to do is you have to find out what people want, and you have to deliver it to them and make them pay for it before you create it. And so that's how you save yourself a lot of pain, okay? Now, that doesn't work if you're a dishonest person. Okay, if you're a dishonest person and you are telling people that you can deliver a result for them and you don't have any proof that you've ever delivered that result for yourself or for somebody else, well, I'm not endorsing that you do that. What you need to go do is you need to go into lab and go figure out how to get that result, okay? Yeah. But if you're honest, what I do is I say, hey, listen, this is what we're going to do. This is a new offer. This is what I plan on doing. By the end of it, this is what we plan on getting as a result. Do you want in? And I usually give them some type of major incentive for them to take this jump with me. But I let them know it's not built out. I will do it, okay? And the only reason why I'm presenting this offer to you is because I know that I can do this. I've done this for not only myself, but I've done it for other people. We're just doing this in a different way now. Okay, I let them come in. I give them some type of incentive, whether it's a discount, it is additional value for them to be able to take me up on it. And then I deliver it because I took their money. And so this makes it to where I don't have dud offers. Like none of my offers are duds. They all work because I'm not making it until you pay me. Right? And then once you pay me, I know that I have a reputation and a brand to live up to, and I have to deliver on that. And so I do my best to deliver on it. And that's probably the biggest mistake that people make. They want to spend all their time creating all this stuff that they have no idea that people want because they don't want to do what they are afraid to do. I tell people this, the reason why you create digital is for this reason. It's to stay in business. Like, what? Stay in business? It's to stay in business. The reason why 90% of businesses go out of business is because they don't market enough. So if you are spending 80 to 90% of your time fulfilling on your product or your service, and you're only spending 10 to 20% of your time marketing, you will eventually go out of business. At some point, the amount of attraction and awareness that you have is going to be so low that you're gonna have no customers at some point, unless you keep all your customers for the rest of your life, which is just not life. That's just not the way that it works. So you need to be spending 50% of your time, whatever time you're working on your business, a minimum of 50% of your time needs to be on doing stuff like this. It needs to be on being in front of more people that have no idea that you exist today. That's where pretty much the majority of your time should be. And so most people don't want to do that because now I put myself out. What if somebody says something about me? Oh my gosh, he's this, he's that, he's too loud. People don't want that because that disrupts their identity, like what we talked about before, right? And so people don't want to do that. But that's the reason why most people go out of business.
Yeah.
Because they don't want to do the things that they need to do. This is what I need to do. Right? And so that's why if I need to drive an hour, I'll drive an hour. If I need to drive 2 hours, I'll drive 2 hours. If I didn't come here today, I would be doing content at home. Okay? Like at the end of the day, this time is for doing this, getting more people to know that Greg Todd exists and that Greg Todd can help them with their problems. Or maybe I can't help that person, but I can help their family member that's a nurse. Or, right? And so that's where all your energy or the majority of your energy needs to go. And if you don't do that, you're screwed. It's not going to work. Yeah. It's not going to work. It's going to catch up to you.
Absolutely. What are some of the best vehicles that you see out there right now to promoting digital products?
The best vehicles to promote the products, I think the social media platforms are the best because between TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, you're dealing with about 90% of the world. They're consuming something on one of them, right? And 20 years ago, 25 years ago, if you wanted to get in front of 90% of the world, you had to buy something called a commercial. You had to buy that on cable television or you had to buy that on radio. In 2006, I was struggling with my Wesley Chapel clinic. I wasn't getting the amount of traffic that I wanted. And there was an opportunity for me to be on a radio station. It was like 13:20 a.m. It was this is what they presented to me. The offer was $5,000 a month. And said, well, how many people will I get in front of? And they only had proof that I can get in front of 500 people in the Tampa Bay area. 500 people were listening to that radio station at $5,000 a month. They told me that I would be the only physical therapist. Yeah, well, there's nobody listening, you know what I mean? But I'd be the only physical therapist that would have that slot, or that would be in anywhere in everything. And I nearly did. I didn't do it, but I nearly did it. You imagine today, we can do this, and we can be in front of 5,000 people.
Yeah.
Isn't it crazy? So the reality is that we have access to that. Now, in order for people to see it, you have to get good on that commercial platform, just like any commercial. But it's free. It's free. It's free. It's just energy. So, you can use any of those and you can get in front of the people that could potentially buy your digital products. Okay, then once you get in front of those people, now you have to understand this. People pay you with their attention before they pay you with their resources, right?
Absolutely.
And their resources is time, but their resources also is money. So you have to give them some way for them to say, I'm raising my hand, but I'm not opening up my wallet, right? So you give them that opportunity. Give them something that's really good and that they'll say, hey, I'll give you my information for that. And then once they give you their information, then talk with them, build a relationship with them. Now you own the information. You can talk to them, whether it's via text, it's via email, it's via social media as well. You continue to build a relationship with them. And then over time, you present to them a conversion event. And a conversion event is where you're trying to convert them from a prospect to a customer. Okay? You do that through giving them value first, explaining what it is that you do that can help them, and then giving them an offer if they want to get help now. This is what you can do right now with me, right? You can do other things with other people, but with me, this is what it takes. And if you understand that and you just get into a system of doing that over and over and over again, good things are going to happen. Assuming it's an audience that actually wants what it is that you have.
Absolutely. And I think this is probably one of the biggest mistakes that people make. Mm-hmm. They try to sell way before they've earned the right to make those people an offer.
Yeah.
Like by providing value. Like Gary Vee talks about that all the time. Mm-hmm. Jab, right hook.
Yeah.
yeah, they try to sell before they've kind of earned that right to make them an offer.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts on creating ads, like even though it's like might be social media ads or television ads or whatever may be, to promote a digital offer?
I think it's a great thing in the right timing. Okay, today, I would say 40 to 50% of the people that are coming into my world is through advertising. Okay, it's through paid traffic. And paid traffic is great, but I think a lot of people don't understand the strategy behind it. Okay, so paid traffic is not something you do right out the gate. You have to make sure that you know that your offer works. You have to know your numbers. You have to know how much your offer is. You have to know how many people are converting into your offer, how many eyeballs I'm gonna need to get from paid traffic to then get a customer. And that number, it doesn't have to be, you don't have to make more money from the customer than you're paying for paid traffic, but you have to know when that is going to work in your favor, right? So give you a perfect example. If I spend $200 on paid traffic and it costs me $800 to get a customer, right? Then I'm spending $200 a week. That means that if I do that every single week, in 4 weeks, I'll get a customer. So I spent $800 to get a $200 customer. If I have nothing else to offer that $200 customer, that's not going to work.
Yeah.
Okay. But if I am offering them a $200 offer, but 100% of those people that take my $200 offer are going into my $2,000 offer, well then
lifetime value is
that's
way
called
greater.
lifetime value, right? And so a lot of people don't understand this game. And if you don't understand that, then I don't recommend you go into paid traffic, at least yet. Okay. What you need to do is you need to get an offer. You need to get an offer that works. You need to get good at doing organic content. The better you do at organic content, the better your paid traffic is going to work. And you need to rinse and repeat that. Personally, I think that of all the different traffic sources, every business that I have done that's done well has done well strictly because of partnerships. Okay? It's done well because of partnerships. Somebody else already has the trust of the audience that could buy what it is that I have. That's called leverage. Understand I'm in a relationship business. Why not build a relationship with somebody that already has all the people that I want access to and see if we can develop a relationship first.
Absolutely.
And then turn that relationship into a friendship and then turn the friendship into a partnership. Today's the first day I'm meeting you.
Yep.
So actually, that's not true. Last week, we talked via text, right? Okay. So last week started the relationship. The relationship is that I know who you are and you know who I am, okay? When people are trying to sell, when they just start a relationship, that's bad news.
Yep.
Okay? We are not friends yet. After today, I consider you my friend. You have my number. I have your number. We're probably going to text each other on my way back. I'm probably at the soccer game. Hey, what do you think about this? Da, 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 da. Okay, we're starting a friendship, right? We're going to build on that friendship. Okay, I want to make money with people that I like. I don't know. Maybe that's me talking. I'm going to be 48 in a couple days. So I'm old now. I don't have time for the nonsense. Okay, so I want to make money. Is not hard for me to make. So why not just make it with people that I like?
Absolutely.
Okay, so I don't want to be around jerks. I don't want to be around, mean people. I want to be around people that I like, people that we have something in common, and that's it. So I believe you have to build a friendship first, and then friendships turn into partnerships. I think everybody can do that right away. You need money for paid traffic. You need money, or you need time and skill for organic. But partnerships, you can do that right now.
The best collaborators win.
The best collaborators win all the time. That's
awesome.
a mic drop. That's a mic drop. Boom, boom. There you go.
Let's go. My great friend Tom gave me, like I was doing a show, like I'm part of his mastermind.
Yeah.
He sent me like a little, what do you call that? Things like this is the Haitian in me, like not thinking of the correct word, but like you ring it. What is it called?
Oh,
A
the bell. But yeah.
He gave me a bell.
Yeah.
I need to figure out
Yeah.
a way
How
to
to-
like, hook it up. Like, it's different from a mic drop, or maybe even figure out like
Yeah.
an actual mic drop that I pull from underneath the table
And
and
just
then
okay.
drop it.
But then you gotta have like a riser that brings it back up because we have multiple mic drops.
Mic drop today.
Boom,
Let's
boom,
go.
boom. Yeah.
We are nearing the end of this talk show. It's been a fantastic. It's been over an hour, but a fantastic time talking with you. Yeah, there was so many mic drop moments over here, and thank you so much for coming and sharing with us in the show. 2 questions. Looking over your journey, what is the number one thing that if you were able to go back and change that has contributed, that could have contributed more to your success? What would that be?
I wish I would have gone broke faster.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, I wish I would have gone broke faster. I remember I told you about that property that I lost. It destroyed my credit. And I thought that was going to be the end of me. And what I didn't realize at the time is that the reason why I had not achieved wealth is because I was holding on to a middle-class mindset. The middle-class mindset is do everything you can to hold on to your credit. And I realized that because I had that mindset, it was limiting me with taking risk. So when I lost that home and creditors were calling the clinic and they were like, my employees were having to give me the phone and I was having to say, I'm busy right now. And like, it was so embarrassing and all this stuff. And my American Express cards were being revoked from me and just all of that. And I realized that, yeah, it was bad, but it wasn't the end of the world. And once I realized, gosh, this was a lot better than what I thought was going to happen. A year and a half after that, I had my first $1 million in business. And so I wish I would have understood that you aren't going to get to where you're at if you're not taking calculated but risk. You as an entrepreneur, you have to understand this. You're going to have to deal with downside, but you're also trying to minimize your downside, but you want to have maximum upside. We are very calculated in what we do. If you are not willing to take calculated risk, you are not going to win. You're not going to win. And I think that most of us that are listening to this hold on to the middle class mentality that I can't risk it for something that really, if you lose it, is not that big of a deal. It really isn't. Today I don't need good credit. Doesn't matter. I mean, I think I have okay credit. It's fine, but I don't need it. You don't need it. When you have money, you don't need it. You just buy everything, whatever you want. And when people understand that, like, who you are and what you've done, like, you don't need the bank. People will bet on you all day. As an investor, I'm not looking at opportunities. I don't care about your opportunity. I'm trying to figure you out. Like right now, I am sizing you up. I'm trying to figure out, is this guy the real deal or not? I'm not, like, the place is awesome. I'm trying to figure you out.
Yeah.
And so once you understand that, you'll never, ever, ever hurt for getting money. So you don't need to hold on to that. I need to see, do you have nuts? Do you have balls? Are you willing to go for it? Are you willing to risk it all? Do you believe? Can you sell? If you can do that, I don't need no bank. I don't need no credit. I just need you. I need to see where you're at.
Absolutely. So a lot of people, they have scarcity mindset.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to entrepreneurs that just started their business, or they just kind of maybe in their 1 year, 2 year, that have scarcity mindset, that try to kind of hold everything and not wanting to take that risk, or that willing to, invest in themselves for the greater upside?
Yeah, then you really have to ask yourself, is this what you really want to do? Okay? And by the way, we've all been there. Okay? We've all been there. I was afraid to invest in myself. I was afraid to invest in myself. I was afraid to invest in other people. We've all been there. Okay? You have to ask yourself, am I willing to adopt a new way? That's really it. And if you're willing to do that, here's what I would tell you. I would tell you, your job is to make things flow as much as possible. And if you're not making it flow, it can't flow in. Flow in, flow out. Flow in, flow out. Flow in, flow out. Okay? If you hold on to it, you're going to create a backlog. And it's going to be something called a bottleneck. and then you're messing up the flow. Okay? So flow in, flow out. Money come in, money goes out. Money comes in, money goes out. Now, where's that money going out? Let's talk about that, okay? I was just at a conference this past week, and I was even thinking about my journey, and I feel like, look, I know I've done extremely well for myself, but there's levels to this, okay? There's levels to this. And the host of the conference, his name is Patrick Bet-David. He basically said that from the time that he started his channel, Valuetainment, they've made millions and millions and millions of dollars. He says, I've not taken one penny from the podcast. I'm not taking one penny from YouTube. I think they're at $4 to $5 million a year just from their YouTube channels. He says, I have not taken one penny from it since I started it in 2014.
That is
flow
crazy.
In, flow out. Flow in, flow out. Now, what has he done? He has made it flow out to building his team. Okay? And it made me think on a personal level. I've done pretty good for myself. But there have been times that I'm even questioning myself. I've had 4 big times where I have made the money flow out. I'm pretty good at flowing in and flowing out, but there's times that I'm making it flow out to personal things. You know, like I can think of a time in 2018, I made it flow out personal. There's a time in 2019, I made it flow out personal. There's a time in 2022, I made it flow out personal. There's a time in 2024, I made it flow out personal. I wonder if I would have made those few $1 million flow in, flow out to other things to grow.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering. Again, this is a personal thing for me. So you just have to be careful of you have to understand flow in, flow out, okay? And then what are you making flow out to? I'm not talking about making flow out to a Lambo.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about making flow out to, some Louis Vuitton stuff. I'm not saying that. Flowing out to the right things. And if you do that, things start to compound. It gets crazy. It does. So anyways, that's what
Absolutely.
I was saying.
Last question is, if you had to give, and this is a question we ask every single time in the podcast, if you had to give $1 million advice to somebody, what would that be?
Have $10 million thinking. $10 million thinking, more than likely, you're not going to hit your goals, but you'll at least hit $1 million.
Or 5.
Or 5. Or 5.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Such a pleasure having you on the show.
Yeah,
for anybody watching this, if they wanted to get a hold of you, how can they get a hold of you?
Yeah, I mean, you can text my business number. It's 813-534-6453. Just tell me where you heard me from or where you found out about me through the podcast, and my team will give it to me, and I'll respond back to you. So that's it. I'm on Greg Todd PT on most platforms, and that's pretty much it.
Awesome. Make sure you go to his social media platform and follow him. Man, it's such a pleasure having you on the show.
It was
like
great,
you had a multitude of mic drop moments, and I cannot wait to turn these into reels that we can further share to other people.
Yeah.
A lot of really great takeaways, unexpected answers, from you two that were right on point. So
You're a great host.
I appreciate that.
Host. You're
Thank
a great
you.
host. You did
Thank
a great
you.
job. Thank you.
Such a pleasure having you,
man.
and I
Appreciate
cannot
you, bro.
wait for us to have a part 2.
Yeah.
Because I feel like there are so many things that we could have touched on, but obviously we are an hour and a half, talking today. But talking about the psychology behind marketing and how to get those offers, to market those, I think we could have gone a little bit deeper on that. But super grateful for you to make that 2-hour drive and coming on the show and sharing your expertise and knowledge with our guests today. So I appreciate that.
Thank you for having me, man. I appreciate you.
Absolutely.
All right? Awesome.
Let's go.
Yeah.
It's fire, baby. Let's go.